My favorite feature of the Surface Pro has to be the built-in kickstand and the detachable keyboard. It gives you so much flexibility and convenience, and I always wished that the iPad had something like that. There's no built-in kickstand, and the Magic Keyboard is easily detached, but it's not as convenient to use as the keyboard attachment with the Surface. Well, Logitech has been making an awesome keyboard that adds those two Surface features right to the iPad. But let's start with the price tag, because this isn't some cheap case, but it's also not as expensive as some other more premium options. The Logitech Combo Touch for the iPad Pro 11-inch is $230, and the Combo Touch for the 13-inch iPad Pro is $260. Now yes, it's not cheap, but it is cheaper than something like the Apple Magic Keyboard case. There are two colors to choose from, graphite and sand, and I really like the improvements to the design and the build materials here. Logitech did something a little different this generation, and I kind of prefer it simply because of durability. The cloth material that was on the previous version is now gone, which is kind of a shame. I did like how that one felt, but it did get dirtier much quicker than the plastic material that Logitech introduced with this generation. You also have a metal backing now on the detachable keyboard, which is much nicer. It looks nicer, it feels nicer than the previous generation. Now this case does add some bulk to the iPad Pro, but it will be great for providing protection to your very delicate and thin iPad. Now when it comes to the case, the kickstand is by far my favorite part of this case. It's sturdy, it provides so many different viewing angles. You could easily adjust it to an angle that you want for viewing content or for sketching or note-taking. It has a lot of flexibility to it. Having the kickstand with you at all times, just being able to position it just the way you want, makes having the Combo Touch really stand out from other keyboard cases. For example, the Magic Keyboard doesn't have all the viewing angles that the Logitech Combo Touch does. The attached keyboard is also really convenient to use. You simply attach it to the bottom with strong magnets, and the case uses the smart connector built right into the iPad to automatically connect to the keyboard. No need to connect it or pair it via Bluetooth or charge the keyboard. It gets all of its connection and power through that smart connector, which is nice that Logitech was able to utilize that connector. Now the keyboard also has some nice features like backlit keys, which you can also adjust the brightness to, and you have a really large trackpad. Now when it comes to the keys, the key travel is decent, but I will say that the keys feel a little mushy and just not the best that I've used. Also the trackpad, although it is large and it's nice to have all that space to utilize, it's not my favorite trackpad that I've used on a iPad keyboard case. It's not very clicky, and there's also not a very consistent click throughout the trackpad. You can kind of see it here on video. It depends on where you click the trackpad. It's not a universal click across the whole trackpad, which can kind of cause some issues after a while. Also, if you're using the keyboard on something other than a desk and the keyboard isn't completely flat, the trackpad click is just not very consistent. For some reason, the trackpad has to be completely flat on something for it to have a nice consistent click. Otherwise, the trackpad could be kind of hit or miss. It's still a good overall keyboard and trackpad, but I do prefer the keys and trackpad on the Apple Magic Keyboard. Now, some of the things I wish the Combo Touch had was an extra port on the case, something like maybe the Apple Magic Keyboard has, where you can easily plug a charging cable into and still have access to that one port on the iPad. It just gives you some more functionality or flexibility having that extra port if you want to, connect accessories into the iPad and still charge it at the same time. Also, using this keyboard case on your lap as a laptop, it just doesn't work well because that kickstand, it's just really hard to keep it stable on your lap. So it's kind of a trade-off that you're gonna have to make or keep in mind. And even using this on a desk, because of that kickstand, the keyboard positioning, it uses up so much space than other keyboard cases that don't have a separate keyboard and kickstand. So you might wanna keep that in mind if you're gonna be using this in compact spaces, like perhaps taking it on a plane and using it on a tray table. Not as convenient to use in those situations because it just takes up more footprint to actually use it compared to other cases. Also, the thinness of the new iPad Pro is completely destroyed with this case. I know I mentioned that before, but it's something to also keep in mind. If you're purchasing the iPad Pro because it's the thinnest Apple device Apple has ever made, you're kind of putting it in a case that adds a lot more bulk to it, and it ruins that whole experience if that's what you're looking for. But overall, would I recommend the Logitech Combo Touch? Yes, I would, definitely. This is probably my overall favorite case. Having a kickstand on your iPad at all times is a definite bonus. And the times where I don't want to carry a keyboard around and I just want to have just my iPad and use it simply like a tablet, I can easily detach it, still have the protection that I need for my iPad because it's still a case, and I have the kickstand available to me to position the tablet however I want. That's something that the Magic Keyboard can't do. Once you detach it from the Magic Keyboard, you're left with just the iPad, and you risk perhaps dropping it or damaging it. You don't have a case when you don't want to use the Magic Keyboard. And that's kind of where the Logitech Combo Touch really shines. Now, there are some drawbacks like I mentioned before, but if those aren't a big deal to you and if the pros outweigh the cons, this is definitely an overall great product or great case to consider for your iPad. I'll leave a link to the Combo Touch in the description below so you can check it out for yourself. Also, if you want to see quick bite-sized tech reviews, make sure you check out our Instagram channel, TechVerve. I'll leave it in the description. Check it out so you can support the channel. Thanks for watching, guys, and I'll see you on the next one.